Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel, and it's one of these videos again where I cover a bunch of topics because it's just been one of those weeks. Interesting topic or interesting thing today. I'm going to show you a prototype of a new game. I'm still working on Regulated City, don't worry. We're going to talk about that maybe just a little bit. But I'm also working on another game. And there's a lot involved with that. After the intro. Alright, so I've been doodling a little bit on this piece of paper, just with a fine liner, and if you know some of my games, this might remind you of Heroes of Loot. I'm trying to find an interesting style, a graphical style, high resolution style for Heroes of Loot, a new version of Heroes of Loot. Yeah, that means no pixel art, which is going to be a little bit different. Of course, all my games have been done with pixel art, but I want to try something new. Every now and then you gotta try something new, and I feel this is the right time for it. However, there's a lot of stuff that's different from using high resolution and pixel art. Well, not a lot of stuff, but a few key things like units, measurements, having characters run around at a certain speed. When I'm doing my pixel art, my usual stuff, I know exactly how many pixels I should be moving something per frame to have a nice feeling. If we're gonna do high resolution, the measurements are off, it has to be different, so it's a lot of figuring out. Also, my whole light system was pretty much designed for small, low resolution pixel art. Now it has to be different and bigger and bulkier. It's a lot of things that I need to figure out. One of the key things is getting this from a piece of paper onto a computer. Okay, so on the Discord we have been talking about high resolution art, how to best do it, and how to get this piece of paper doodle art onto the computer. Luckily there are some people there that have more experience with it, and you should join the Discord if you want to join into these discussions or just learn from people. There are some talented people in the Discord. So they came up with stuff like drawing monitors that you hook up to your computer. They look awesome, amazing, but they're a bit expensive, or at least they're gonna be an expensive thing because I have to buy them. I don't have any of that stuff. Not really the option I wanted to go with. Of course, you could scan in your drawn doodles and then draw over it in any paint program. That's an option, but not very, it takes a lot of extra time, and it's also not very accurate or the best way to do it. Another option is using a good art program on either an iPad or an Android tablet. And I still had an Android tablet. This is a Samsung S6 Lite. It's pretty much a budget tablet, I think, pretty sure. It comes with a nice pen, which is a bonus because, or at least a requirement, because we want to draw on it. I installed Infinite Painter, which is an app pretty much comparable to Procreate on the iOS, but that's only on the iOS, and Infinite Painter is an Android version of the same type of app. One of these copied the other one. History would tell me that the Android version was first and iOS copied it, but it's probably the other way this time. Doesn't matter. The cool thing is it's a pretty cool program. It also records the whole process of drawing stuff. So this is what I've been doodling, and this is pretty much me figuring out the best way to use the program and the tools available, and just finding the best way to ink stuff and then color it and then have shadows in it and then be able to somehow animate it later on. Now, I know there are animation tools. Before you dive into comments and type, hey, there are animation tools. I know there are animation tools. I just don't want to use them right now, just not yet. I've been toying a little bit with it, but I don't like using third-party solutions for stuff like this. I want to know what's going on. So first, I want to learn how to do animations myself in code, what's best to do and what can be done, and maybe eventually I'll move to these tools. But right now, if I can use less third-party stuff, I'm happy with it. That's what I keep saying in all these videos, because if you're ever gonna port it to new hardware or new software languages or whatever, the more you know and the more control you have over everything you use, the better. And third-party tools, I would have to wait for them to fix problems or support the new platforms or whatever. It just sounds a bit risky, especially since I've been supporting my games for more than a decade, and if I was using third-party tools, it would have been a lot more difficult to port to all these hardware devices and languages. And so this is the way I like to do it, and I know there are tools, I know it. Just not gonna use them. That's how I am. Anyway, for now I'm just doodling in this app, figuring out stuff. Also have to figure out what kind of resolution should I be drawing, because I could draw at 4K like resolutions, but the game's probably gonna run in like 1080 or 720p. I'm gonna have to scale it at some point somewhere, and if I draw it very big and I'm gonna scale it, it pretty much loses a bunch of details. So maybe I should just draw it in a smaller resolution to begin with, so that there's less scaling involved. But is it then still high resolution or not? A bunch of stuff that we need to figure out for this. I'm not sure how other developers do it. I've been Googling and searching for it. I know a lot of people just draw in high resolution and then use Unity to create their game, but they have no idea what's actually going on. There's gonna be some scaling there. Unity games don't run in 4K by default. Most run in 1080p HD or true HD or real HD, something like that. So there is scaling involved somewhere. The question is just, do you render everything and then scale it to your physical screen, or do you scale everything and then render it to the right canvas? I'm not sure what the best solution is just yet, but I'm gonna try it out. I've been trying it out already on our new prototype. Let me show you our new prototype. So the new prototype, and I say we have been working on the prototype because I've teamed up with Nathan, or Haragoshi on the Discord, who is doing all the graphic and artwork. At start of the year, I mentioned that I wanted to work with somebody or multiple people this year. And this is one of those projects that came from that. When we were releasing Groundskeeper 2 on Switch earlier this year, I was playing it a lot, and I had this fairly simple idea that pretty much based on Groundskeeper, where you have a shrine or something or an object that needs to be activated, a portal opens up, you stand on the portal, wait for a couple of seconds, which is dangerous, and that's the whole point of it, then you teleport to the next level. Now the little thing here is that every level will modify your weapon. Its behavior changes. You have no idea what it's going to do or what it's going to be. It might be better than what you had in the previous level. It might also be much worse and make it a lot more difficult. So my idea is that the challenge is going to be, do you stick around in a level that gets increasingly more difficult and you lose life and energy? Or do you teleport, regain all your energy, but possibly end up with a weapon that's gonna be, well, close to frustrating? It's gonna be a balancing act, and I think that's pretty much the core gameplay I wanted to try. So that's what we're building in the prototype. Right now I built this whole weapon system, and it is very flexible. I might actually use this and copy it back into Regulator City, because it allows me to do a bunch of cool things with bullets and everything around it, and it's a very simple setup. The weapon just gets certain flags, and those are the features. So it might be a triple bullet shooting thing, it might have slow motion bullet, it might actually shoot reverse, like behind you instead of in front of you. It might explode when it touches something, it might bounce off enemies, things like that. Those are just little flags, and you can combine all of those and the weapon will behave differently. So the prototype is now pretty close to the original idea I had, and we're gonna try it out. It needs a lot of enemies and content, all that stuff. But I wanted to make sure that the core gameplay is fun. Like I always say in these videos, make sure your core mechanics are up and running as soon as possible so that you actually know the game is fun or not. To be honest, I'm playing the current prototype. It is a lot of fun. It's one of those games that you can really get lost in when you're playing it, because it's very simple to understand, but it's lacking some stuff. So we're gonna have to figure out what it's lacking or missing and what can we do to change it and make it perfect. And then we can start building all the extra content around it. Now for me, this is an interesting project for, well, high resolution graphics. First time I'm using that. I think we got a good thing going. It's looking pretty amazing. The second thing for me is working with somebody else. Usually I do everything on my own except the music, but even then I give direction to my musicians. I want to have something that sounds or has the feeling or emotions of this, make it. Now I want to do this as a partnership. I'm not telling him what we should be drawing, how it should be. It's really a communication. We're gonna talk about everything, discuss stuff. He's pretty much in charge of the graphics, And that's also already something weird, because in my mind I have a vision for a game, a prototype, an idea, and then he comes up with something else because he can't look in my head, which is probably a good thing for both him and me. So whatever he comes up with is slightly different, or in this case it was pretty different from what I had in mind, but we're gonna make it work somehow. And it's also a creative, interesting thing, because that certainly made me look different at the prototype idea I had, and maybe we should be expanding to certain other things, and there's a lot more we can build on, and it's an interesting process. This prototype, even though we've been working on it for months, or started working on it months ago, right now I think it's 5 days of work for me, code-wise. I usually do this on my Friday or Saturday, tinker with it a little bit, send him a new build. But also I'm working with Regulated City Residual. He is releasing a game, Astral Flux, pretty soon, so that's in wrap-up phase, and eventually this project is gonna get more time. But it's pretty cool to tinker with it and just to try out stuff. No idea how it's gonna be called, no idea if it's gonna ever get released, because, well, right now prototype, you'll never know where it ends up. No idea how it's gonna look and play and all that, but it's fun to work with. Which brings me to this final part of the video. I have the Atari VCS, the Atari Developer Kit. Talked about it a few weeks ago on the channel. We worked something out and we now have dev kits for Atari. Meganoid is partially up and running, but to be honest, I just got this one in, so I haven't really tested it or hooked it up yet. Gonna do that tomorrow. Meganoid should be running. We just have to figure out how to support controllers. It also comes with a normal gamepad. Hang on, this one, pretty much Xbox controller type thing. So 2 controllers, they work a little different. You can also hook up a Xbox gamepad. The Xbox gamepad works on Meganoid from what the testers at Atari told me. We just have to make these things also work. They were a little bit different. We're gonna have to figure it out, but now that we can actually test it, and Serious Lion should also be getting his dev kit, so we will be able to test it, get it up and running, and release games. Pretty much everything that's now on Switch will be released on Atari, unless we run into weird issues like, I think it's pretty powerful, but if it's not powerful enough, some of the bigger games might not run. But this is pretty much like a Linux PC, a little bit different. So I'm in high hopes that everything that we pushed out will be able to launch on Atari. Brings me to one thing, Atari, thanks for the dev kit, but you are a little bit of a company that I can't make head or tail of. Right now I got a dev kit, I have contact with some people that test for Atari, but I don't think they officially work at Atari. I'm not sure about all that. Also, I have no agreements or NDAs or whatever. I have no idea how the marketplace works. I have no idea how many people have a device like this. And I have no idea what Atari is up to, or which actual Atari company is Atari, because they have so many tentacles everywhere right now. I don't know. I'm just happy that we have an Atari dev kit and we're gonna be releasing games on it. Nintendo, Atari, like I said, next is the C64. Except I didn't get very far relearning assembler, but maybe if I ever have time or find somebody who does know C64 assembler, contact me. Anyway, Atari is coming. Also talking to the guys at Evercade. That's going to be a little bit more of a problem because the Evercade doesn't support monogame. It doesn't support Unity. I think it only supports SDL. We'll find that out. We're talking about with them. I will have an NDA with them and then be able to download the SDK and learn everything, and then Serious Lion and I can figure out if it's a path we can take and go and release on that as well, or if it's maybe not worth the effort, depending on how difficult it's gonna be. But just releasing on different consoles, I just love that stuff. Just having my games up and running, releasing on new platforms, getting new audience, it makes me tingly all over. The oversharing, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's wrap this video up with Regulated City, or the lack of Regulated City. No update today, just like last week. But major steps have been taken. Please jump on the Discord. I posted some stuff there and I'm talking about the game there. Probably next week gonna dive into it. Huge steps with the city map. Finally figured out what to do with it. And yeah, this game is now really rolling on Steam towards that completion. I hope. That's my feeling right now. It might change next week or in the next couple of days. But right now, I feel like we're on the right track to actually finish this game and make it a complete experience. But like I said, next week, not this week, sorry, no, next week. Devlog next week. This was just a lot of stuff mixed into one video. Because every now and then, there's a lot of stuff that you should be mixing in one video, I guess. So, thanks for watching. Also, Nathan doing the artwork for the prototype. I'll link his YouTube in the description. He shows art videos, creating artwork, creating stuff. I'm pretty sure pretty soon something will pop up about this game because we're gonna talk about this game a little bit more every now and then. It was a secret or just not talked about because it was very early days. From now on, I think I want to share as much as possible just to see what you think about the game, how you think it looks, how you think it sounds from the game design idea I have, and all your ideas are welcome below or in the Discord. And multiple games in development, different platforms, and I'm just one guy. Maybe I'm just crazy. Thanks for watching this crazy guy. Like, subscribe, comment below. See you next week. Bye!